People overcomplicate education, and homeschoolers are no different. In this video, we're going to talk about the 3 stages of learning, specifically through the lens of homeschooling. And by the time you are at the end, I'm guessing that you're going to have the same aha light bulb that I had. But before we get into this, number one, this is a very conversational video. I am at the beach. My son is out rowing on the beautiful water. It's bright, sunshiny day, and I hope that you forgive me for being outside because I live in the Pacific Northwest and we don't get this much sunshine. My name is Becky, and my husband and I have 5 sons that we've been homeschooling over the course of the last 25 years. So when I'm talking about homeschool, it's coming through the lens of somebody that was completely against homeschooling in the beginning. That was me, because I thought homeschoolers were weird and I wasn't going to raise kids that were going to be weird. And then I forgot that I'm their mom, so they were destined to be weird anyway. I was against homeschooling. I thought that I would mess up my kids' education. And my husband wisely said, let's give it a try for a year. And if you hate it, we'll do something else. That was 25 years ago. All 5 of our kids, because of their life goals, have gone on to go to some level of college, some to private universities, some through trade schools, some just getting their associate degrees. Each boy getting a degree that fits their life dreams, their life passions. Not only are they brilliant each in their own right, we've raised a historian, a screenwriter, a musician, a mathematician, scientist, and someday an Olympic rower if everything goes his plan. He still is 17, almost 18, so the world is his oyster. Not only have we raised our own kids and seen success in their academics and their training, but they're champion kids. They're kind, they're responsible, they're diligent. But we've also helped countless homeschool families through the course of our journey because we've always been taught that to learn, the best way to learn is to teach. And so I took that to heart, and I've been teaching about homeschooling and raising up champion kids for years now. And so anyway, that's what brings us here. And if you like the idea of raising kids that by the time they graduate high school, not only can they read and write, not only can they count and do basic math, but that they're still kind and generous and compassionate and hardworking and they have grit, then this is for you. So this whole 3 stages of homeschooling has come to me late in the game. We've done everything in the homeschool box. We started with homeschool in a kit that was basically public school at our kitchen table. The public school sent us everything we needed: a computer, finger paints, lesson plans, books, everything. And my kids hated it. So did I. I didn't want a public school system at home. So I really rebelled against that I think we lasted a year. Since then, we've done everything that you can think of. And I'll just stop right here and let you know that I do not believe that homeschooling is for everybody. And I also don't believe that one way of homeschooling is a good fit for everybody. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're going to be talking about the magic triangle of stages and steps in homeschooling that you can then sprinkle your own curriculum or your own lesson plans on top of, and then you will find success in homeschool. I'm confident. Okay, so we also have a homeschool membership group, and as I've been talking to some of our members, it's called the Homeschooling Olympians, and I've been talking with them lately as they're getting ready to just get into their new school year. This is simultaneously happening at the same time that our youngest son is getting ready to leave the nest and go to university. And I've also had this summer to just meditate on what's worked and what hasn't worked. And that's where this triangle comes from. That's where these 3 core stages of homeschooling come from. And I want you to understand that this is just an overview. We have a master class that's free that will break down each and every one of these stages. So I'm going to encourage you to get on our mailing list so that you can get into that free masterclass, because I think that you're going to love what you're about to hear. The 3 stages of homeschooling are, and a friend of mine helped me come up with the alliterations for it: foundations, flourishing, and flying and launching into life. The first stage of homeschooling is foundations, and that's where, when you think of starting homeschool, this is what you think about. You're teaching your child to tie their shoes, you're teaching them their letters, their letter sounds, reading, the beginning of writing, and what the number symbols mean in relationship to math. You're also in that foundation stage teaching them the core concepts of addition and subtraction. So this whole foundation is for the sole purpose of getting them ready for the next stage. It's the shortest season in homeschooling, but it's the one that people get tripped up on because they try to carry those foundational teaching practices into the next stage of homeschool. And this is why it doesn't work. So that is typically preschool to maybe first grade, depending on your child. All of our kids were delayed readers. Our youngest didn't read till he was 10, but he's made it and he's flourishing and doing fine. So that foundation season will be different in your family compared to your next door neighbor's family, and it may be different for each and every one of your children. The next stage after that foundation stage is what I call flourishing. When you close your eyes and you think about the perfect homeschool journey, you picture this flourishing season. It's when life and learning crash and they flirt, and you go to the beach and you find shells, and then you go home and you research all about the life in the tide pools, and you make projects. It's that hands-on learning. It's the fun learning. It's project-centered. It's interest-centered. And the whole purpose is to have your kids fall in love with learning. The first stage is preschool to about first grade. This flourishing stage goes from when they're reading, even if it's just at a kindergarten level, until right about the time they hit high school. It's very kid-centric. There's tons of curriculum out there that you can lay on top of this foundational goal of falling in love with learning. You can write your own. You can homeschool for free. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do in this season. This is the season that if you don't lean in to the flourishing stage, you will look at your children's bright eyes, and then you will watch the flame of excitement for learning go out. Because our brains are hardwired for discovery and creativity and curiosity. And if it's always turn the next page, do the next lesson, there's just no fun in that. Now, there are kids that love that. I was one of those kids because I wanted to be a teacher. So that's exactly how you teach a teacher, is you teach them to push paper, you teach them to turn the lesson, right? But most people are not teachers in little bodies. So you have your foundation stage, you have your flourishing stage, and then the last stage is about the time that your kids are getting into high school. You will start to see the foreimage or the foreshadowing of what they're going to do when they get through high school. Are they going to go on and do trade school? Are they going to go on and go? That season of launching into life can be a little bit intimidating. Each and every one of your kids are going to have different life goals, so you will need to customize how you help them launch. Sometimes it will be as simple as helping them get their life skills buttoned up. Other of your children will need a hardcore masterclass in organization and writing, resume creating, business planning, etc. So that launching into life is very customized. Inside the masterclass, what you're going to find is the confidence that you need in order to embrace the season of teaching that you are in with your children right now. Now, if like me, you had more than 2 kids, you might be in all 3 seasons simultaneously. There's 12 years separation between our oldest son and our youngest son. So I fully comprehend the season of life where you're teaching one child how to drive and you're teaching another child how to be potty trained. So I get that there's different ages and stages. But each one of those stages in homeschool comes with its own set of goals, own set of objectives, and own set of special challenges and delights that can make homeschooling so much more enjoyable. I talk to homeschoolers all the time, and especially when they're in that season of life where they should be flourishing. Their kids should be delighting and learning. Many of them, and I made this mistake too at least once in my homeschool career, many people during that flourishing season make the mistake of grabbing and putting curriculum on the kitchen table and thinking this is the best way to homeschool their kids. When in fact, we need to remember that we are in the modern world, and the smartphone that you're likely watching this video on, or the computer that you are watching this video on, is more powerful than the devices used to put us on the moon back before I was born. So we need to understand that when our kids don't know something, they have the technology to say, "Hey Siri, can you tell me about the Puget Sound? Hey Siri, can you tell me about photosynthesis?" Or Google. And they're able to assimilate and digest information so fast that instead of feeding them information that they don't care about, it's better to focus on how they learn, how they find information, how to look at things through different lenses, like math and writing and reading and science and history and art and music and food. When you can look through a topic through the various subjects and ways that you can explore, learning becomes this exciting adventure. And so in the whole rainbow of what does this triangle look like, you start with a child that doesn't know how to read, doesn't know their numbers, doesn't know how to add. You quickly get to that first plateau. Then you spend this delightful period of time falling in love with learning, exploring through books and movies and exploration and field trips and such. And then you get to this plateau on the other side where you have observed your child over the course of many years, and you can see this child is drawn towards music, this child is drawn towards dance, this child is a historian, this child has a scientific mind. And then in those higher grades, those high school grades, you can start to coach them and lead them into the types of training that they need in order to flourish in life. So I'm going to invite you to follow the link below. If the class is open, it will bring you to a page where you can enter in your information. If it's not open at this time, it will lead you to a link where you can be added to our email list. And that's the surest way to make sure that you don't miss the class when it is in a launch cycle. This class is free. This class is meant to give you an overview of the 3 stages of homeschooling that have helped all 5 of our kids become champions and have helped all of the homeschool families that we've been able to coach, both privately and in our Homeschooling Olympians membership group. It's been able to give people the confidence that they need to look at their child and realize, I don't need to overcomplicate this. I can lean into what they love, and I can make experiences and opportunities come to them in a way that they will learn math, learn writing, learn reading and grammar and history and science and all the things in a very natural way. So before I go, you should take this class if you're brand new to homeschooling, if you're getting ready to launch your kids into life, if your kids are in that middle school season and you're kind of floundering because you're watching the excitement just fade away from them as you do page after lesson after the next thing. I firmly believe that this class is what I absolutely needed at the beginning of my homeschool journey, but there was nothing like this out here. Why am I creating it now? Because I'm at the end of my homeschool journey, and now as I'm seeing my last kids leave the nest and launch successfully into life, and as I'm linking arms and working with younger homeschool families, I can see this crystal clear. This new world that our kids are growing up with is not the same world that some of us grew up in. And turning the page and doing the next lesson is not going to help them be successful. So I am inviting you personally to the 3 Stages of Homeschooling masterclass. It's free. The link is below, and I cannot wait to get to know you better. I cannot wait to share these nuggets with you, and I promise your homeschooling and your teaching will never be the same.